Welcome everyone to Talented Universe on this 30th day of May in 2025. I'd like to welcome you all here. I'm going to introduce my co-hosts for today. Gina, glad to have you back.
Hey, glad to be here.
Yeah, it's real fun, exciting. Both of us are waiting for this huge electrical storm to hit us.
Yes.
So we are all hoping that at least one of us will be good. So if anything weird happens during this, it's not because of Kyle, it's because of Mother Nature. So there we go. But I would like to introduce Kyle Maddox. Kyle, how are you doing today? And you're not having storms, so you're having a good time.
I'm not. I'm great. How are you guys? It's 75 and sunny here in Los Angeles, so not to rub it in, but
yeah, but you just never know these little things about what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But and if you've seen any of our other podcasts, there's one question I've asked all of the guests that we've had that are into the vertical world. And if someone asked you what you're doing and you said, I work on vertical dramas, and they look at you funny, which a lot of my friends did when I first said what subjects we were going to talk about on the podcast, how would you explain it to
them? That's awesome. Yeah, it's literally always followed up with like a short synopsis of it. But what I usually tell people is, say, yeah, I'm working on a vertical project. They go, oh, vertical, what's that? I say, it's essentially like Netflix for your phone. So it's like mobile content. So it's designed specifically for your cell phone screen. It's filmed on a vertical lens, but it's essentially just like any other project, any other, feature film, TV series, whatever. It's just specifically made for like a cell phone, TikTok kind of format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And when did you get into the verticals?
How long? Yeah, so it would have been this summer would have been 2 years. So it was like, I think June, July of last year. Or sorry, 2 years ago. Yeah. So
in 2023?
Exactly. Yep. 2023.
So you're one of the ones that have been doing it for a while then.
I am. Yeah. It's funny. I've only got 4 under my belt right now, but I've had several opportunities that just didn't work out for one reason or another. I mean, I should realistically have 7 or 8 or 9 down now, but the scheduling, things like that, they didn't always work out. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with them.
Cool. And Regina, I'll go with you for a little bit until we get some chat room questions.
Okay. So when did you get started in acting?
So that's an interesting one. So I have kind of a unique path to where I am today. I was a police officer before I was an actor. So I did that in Southern Utah. I was out there for like 7-8 years, but I was a cop out there for just under 4. So I'd always been interested in acting as a little kid. I loved film, TV. I used to make little videos at home and stuff, but I never really considered it as a career. And then fast forward to 2019, I was working on shift as a cop, and they needed us to film a scene at the local bar. My sergeant's cousin was directing a film, and he needed 3 or 4 cops to go arrest the actors. So I only did that for an hour. So they wanted to look real, right? So it was like, we had our real trucks. We were on shift in our real uniforms. I literally told dispatch, I was like, I'm going to be busy for like an hour. And they didn't ask, and I didn't tell them what I was doing. But yeah, I was on set. We did 2-3 scenes, and I had a blast. It was basically just improv with all the other actors, and one of them's actually a good friend of mine to this day. I've worked with those directors 2 or 3 times since then. But yeah, long story short, 2019 was that experience. 6 months later, I was in Los Angeles. So,
wow, I have to say that is a unique story. I haven't heard that one before. But so you caught the bug. You fell in love with it just from. See, I know that feeling, so yeah. I totally get it. That's really amazing. Wow. So that actually comes in handy too, but at least you're not getting typecast as cops though, right? So
yeah, that's right. Well, and it's like, the way I see it is auditions don't really intimidate me, I guess, because no one's dying at the end of the day. You know, it's like I've been there and done that at work, and it's not so bad. So life goes on.
That's crazy. So I'm looking at you. Have you done anything other than the verticals? Because you kind of look familiar.
Yeah, I've done a little bit. A lot of it kind of just the indie world. Obviously, it's a strange time for acting. 2019 with what happened to everybody right after that with COVID, everything kind of shut down, and so I was getting a little bit of momentum right before then. COVID happened, everything shut down. Come out of COVID, I started getting a little momentum again, and then the writer strikes happened. So it's just been kind of one thing after the other, but it's been a great experience to just learn how to kind of go with the ups and downs of it. But yeah, I've done a few indie projects, features, a lot of pilots, TV series, short films, things like that. But actually, through all that, I started writing a little bit as well. So I'm kind of looking to transition and maybe do a little bit more of my own content, just in my downtime. But yeah.
Wow. So you have anything in the works, or are you just up here?
Oh yeah, a lot. I'm trying to think
what you can talk about.
I'll say this: it's my project, so it's fine. But I'm developing a TV pilot that I'm actually really excited about, similar to like Reno 911 or like a Trailer Park Boys kind of vibe. But it's essentially a 30-minute comedy series about a U.S. and Canadian border station that they have to run together in one building. So very much like kind of Reno 911 meets The Office, but it's been a blast. I've actually got a few people interested in it that I'm going to be pitching with soon. I got the pilot all locked up and ready to go. So been working on that.
Have you filmed the pilot?
No, I just got
you've just got it ready to go.
Exactly. Okay. Yep. Just been sending it out. Everyone's been really interested in it, so it's been good and encouraging. But that would be fun because I could kind of use my police knowledge and that side of my life and kind of combine it with the entertainment stuff. So pretty excited about that one. I've written a few verticals as well that I'm trying to get made. One of them being like a bank heist type vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a lot of fun to make. It's kind of different than a lot of the vertical tropes that are out there now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be a really fun one to do. But yeah, I've sent that one out too to some producers and clients. So hopefully, something will get going with that. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on.
Very exciting. Very exciting. And how does that work? Do you just send out a synopsis, or because I'm on the acting side, I haven't written anything or anything like that. So I'm curious to how that gets out there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a synopsis. I'll create like a small pitch deck with it just so they can get kind of a visual idea, a Bible, whatever you want to call it. But, just a small, basically PowerPoint type presentation to show kind of the imagery that I have in mind, the characters. So I think that helps a little bit with getting interest. But yeah, and then ideally the script I'll read too, and you can set up a call and stuff from there. But yeah, so it's been working well for me. So I don't know. I really don't know what I'm doing either with it, but figuring it out as I go. So
maybe that's, you'll think outside the box then, because
you don't know what rules you're breaking, right? You just go for it.
Hey, perfect. I didn't know.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then you get it sold and you go, oh, okay, well, I got it sold.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
What difference does it make? We have a little break here. I just wanted to thank you for the likes from Roger Noriega and Greg Teft. We appreciate that. They're watching on Facebook, so there you go. Right. Is there anything that you would like to see out there, like, in verticals besides, and you were just saying that you've written a couple. Yeah. Is there something else you would really like to do just to kind of get, than what the normal is out there? Because I have noticed since I've been following them for a little over 6 months that they're starting to change a little bit. They're not everybody is a billionaire in the world anymore. And they're not hiding from everybody and nobody knows who they are. So there's a few things that have been coming out that have been different, which has been very nice and refreshing.
Right.
So would you like to really go in that direction and just kind of bring some new things in there?
100%. Yeah. And it's been cool. I try to kind of keep up with some of the apps that are the bigger ones out there and to see kind of those are typically the ones that I think are kind of changing the genre a little bit, which is great. I think that's awesome. I'm always excited to see new stories being told. There's a lot of there's a big F1 racing thing going on now, I think, with a lot of the scripts, which I love.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. A lot more, I think, sports stories have been made or are being made. So I mean, one of the ones I wrote was a baseball story about a professional baseball player who, it's kind of the vertical love romance story, but through the lens of baseball, which I grew up playing my whole life. So that's one that would be awesome to make too. But yeah, I mean, anything that's new, I think, is great. I've talked with a lot of people who watch a lot of verticals, and that's always the one consistent thing they're saying is, we love the billionaire stories or the lost werewolf heiress or whatever you want to call it, but they want to see new stuff. I mean, you can only watch that so many times before you want to see something different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would love to see just anything new being done, whether that's police, firefighter, teachers, whatever it is, more ER stuff, like a Scrubs kind of vibe, or just genre itself, maybe more comedy or horror, I think is a genre that hasn't really been tapped into with verticals. So yeah,
I've been seeing a lot of horrors recently.
Yeah.
Now Greg has a question. He says, hi Kyle and NDB Media folks, any tricks to producing in the vertical world that you have noticed or experienced, even since you have been on other types of shoots? Do you notice a lot of differences, or is a lot the same, or is it just they just turn the camera around?
Yeah, so it actually, I mean, it's yes to both. Thanks, Greg. But they are turning the camera vertical versus horizontal, which changes a lot of technical things. Your framing is a lot tighter. In a vertical production, you're typically standing pretty close to your scene partner, where you maybe wouldn't otherwise, or you have to be conscious of, if it's a dynamic scene, you're moving around a lot, you don't have as much room to move before you're completely out of the frame. So definitely technically, as far as just, I think generally it's a much faster pace. I'm sure everybody says that, but it really is. I did one where their lead actor dropped out 12 hours before they were supposed to shoot on day one. So they cast me. I had 122-page script that we were filming. I was the lead in it. So we filmed 6 to 7 scenes each day. And it was, basically just memorizing as I went. And that pace was very challenging, but I really loved it too. And so that's something I like about verticals, is you never know what you're going to get. It's very, very efficient. It's great. I don't want to say practice, because it's its own, I think it stands on its own merit too, but it is great practice, because you learn how to memorize, you learn how to get things done in 1 or 2 takes max, because that's all you're going to get, because there's no time for more. So I think it's very similar to soap operas in that sense of the working side of it. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just that I've noticed, technically you have to be a lot more conscious of the camera and where it's at. They're also filming with 2 cameras usually, which is nice. But yeah, you just you're always worried about, where the framing is and things like that, where as in a normal one, it's typically, horizontal production, 1 camera, and it's a much wider frame. So you kind of have more of a stage, I guess, that you can play with.
Wiggle room.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That sounds like a nightmare I've had, where seriously, where you're pushed out on stage and you're like, I don't know the lines, or I don't, I mean, did you panic, or you just go with the flow?
I was very excited for it. I kind of just saw it as a challenge. It's like, well, if I can do this and get this down, then I can do anything. No script will intimidate me, because I know, again, in soap operas, and I know a lot of people have done a lot of soaps and TV series where they are doing rewrites the morning of, and you get that new script, and you're maybe a day player or a small recurring, and you have one scene that there's no time to do more than 1 or 2 takes, and you're like, well, guess I'm relearning the whole script that I read last night 10 times, and so I think it is good practice for that. But yeah, it was a great crew, great cast. They were all really easy to work with. And I found too, they're very collaborative, the vertical sets I've been on. A lot of that, I think, is because of a language barrier that's there sometimes. The script might not translate
Yeah.
as naturally as it maybe would otherwise. But I mean, again, I've only done 4, so I'm sure people can speak more to it than I can. But the 4 I've done, they've been great. The directors, the writers, even the clients sometimes from a foreign country will be there and they'll say, feel free to change it if you need to, obviously keeping the same story beats. But if something is maybe comes out a little weird, then you can change the wording however you want. So I've had a good experience with that in that regard. So
Well, I'm glad they will say that, because I did notice some of the older ones that I was watching, and I could tell they had been translated from probably Chinese,
yeah,
and it just didn't feel right. It's just like something
right,
was off, and I'm
right.
sure it was fine in Chinese, but when it was literally translated, it didn't work. And I go, well, they're getting it.
Yeah.
Whenever they start writing for the U.S. audience,
Mhm.
some of those problems will be eliminated. But
For sure. Yeah, I've become great friends with the script supervisors on all the vertical
oh,
sets because
there
you're
you go,
you're
there you
spending a
go.
lot of time with them. Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, it's going off on another tangent. Is there any, when you're not doing verticals, when you're not learning lines, is there anything else you like to do in any spare time that you might have left?
Oh yeah, yeah. So obviously writing, which I mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm a personal trainer as kind of a side job as well. So I'm always trying to kind of balance clients and work on that stuff. Banking time for my own physical health and well-being, whether it's a hike. I'm fortunate enough to live pretty close to the beach, so I'll go, walk down by the water. I love kind of connecting to the ocean in that way. It always kind of centers me and brings me back down to earth. But yeah, that I love film, TV. I have the AMC pass for the movie theater out here, so I'll go see as many movies as I can. I get like 3 free tickets a week, so it's amazing. I use that as much as I can.
So that does take up some of your extra little time then.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Do you have a favorite genre that you watch?
I do. I love. So it's more. I guess the best way to describe it is like, do you know the movie SWAT with
No.
the not the TV show, but the 2004 film, Colin
Right.
Farrell, Jeremy Renner? Yeah. So stuff like that, kind
Colin
of.
Farrell, right.
Yeah, exactly. Very action oriented, but I'm drawn to characters both in as a consumer and as an actor that are kind of like a hero fallen from grace. It's kind of like your Anakin Skywalker type, I guess, or like the Jeremy Renner's character in SWAT.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime the story is about something like that, I just love it. But yeah, I would say short answer, like action. It's probably my favorite.
Very good. And do you have a favorite film?
Ooh, that's tough.
Mm.
I always try to have like a top 3 ready to go for this, but it's always changing. I do love SWAT. That is definitely one of them. That was one of the first films I ever really got into. Also Troy, that movie
Oh,
was,
yes.
yeah, that's another classic. Just the scale, the practical effects, everything
Yeah.
was like this was before really big CGI stuff, so everything was pretty
Mhm.
much legit and practical.
That was a good film.
Um, and then I'm trying to think what else. I gotta shake it up a little bit. Oh, Moneyball is another
Oh, yeah.
outstanding film, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So that combines your love of baseball and a little action, but and
Yes.
Brad Pitt. Love Brad
And my
Pitt.
love of Brad Pitt. I will I will openly admit I have a giant crush on Brad Pitt. He's like my idol.
Hmm.
Obviously, Troy, he's in that one too. But
Right.
yeah, I've definitely taken a lot of inspiration from him.
I
Very
think that
nice.
answers a question I had about, if you had the opportunity to work with an actor, who would it be? And I'm thinking maybe that's who that would be, but
You
I'll
know,
ask it anyway. But maybe it's somebody different, or
it,
maybe.
it would be Brad Pitt. I was actually on Babylon as a background actor, so I did get to work not directly with him, but I was on the same battlefield as him for about 8 hours one day. But it was really cool. Like I said, I didn't work like in a scene with him or directly, but he was there, and just seeing how he worked, how he operated was invaluable to me. I could see, what kind of a leader he was, and I mean, he had like a 3 o'clock call time, and he wrapped probably at 6 p.m. But he
15
stayed.
hours, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, so it's only 3 hours for that one.
But,
But
I thought you meant the other way.
Yeah, no, like 3 p.m. But he stayed well past that. He stayed throughout the rest of the night just to see the movie being made and to talk to people and basically just be a soundboard for. I mean, I can't tell you how many actors, background actors, other leads, whoever I saw just going up and talking to him, and he was having full-on conversations with them for 5-10 minutes in between scenes and setups. And so it was very cool to see that. And I was definitely, after that, I was like, if Brad Pitt is that cool, like there's no excuse, no reason for anyone to be rude, or to be conceited or whatever it may be. But so it was a really cool experience for me with that one.
Very nice.
And I'm assuming you did not go up and talk to him.
I didn't. I would have. I was close enough, but we were, so the scene there was like a giant battlefield on the ground, and then there was like a big hill on top with a house. He was up in the hill in the house. I was on the bottom level on the battlefield, but I was obviously, being the creepy guy I am, I was watching him do his scenes up there and watching him interact with people. And then one of my buddies that I was there with actually was someone who got to go have a conversation with him, and so he was telling me about it a little bit. But yeah,
very nice.
That's something.
I've heard he's very down to earth and nice. So
yeah, definitely. That's all the information I got too. So,
is there anything else that you haven't done yet that you would like to do, either personally or professionally? Or
yeah, lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Okay.
Professionally, I would love to get into some directing. Doesn't have to be like a big feature for $100 million budget or whatever. I think even just a short film. I think lately, with the way the industry's been pretty slow outside of like vertical stuff, I've just been really desperate to just do something and just find something to kind of focus on. I've been doing a lot of writing, which has been great, but now that I've got all these scripts, I want to make the scripts.
Right.
A lot of them actually have to do with personal experiences of mine from my time as a police officer, whether it's dealing with, like deeper issues like first responder suicide or things like that, or just everyday life as a cop or any kind of first responder. I love those stories. And one of my big, I guess, is a personal goal too. I really want to be kind of a bridge. Because when I was a cop, I used to watch movies and sit there and go, oh, they got that wrong. They got that wrong. The belt doesn't look like that. Like they would never say that. Or my favorite is on like Law and Order, all those TV shows. Before the first thing they do is just ask, did you kill her? Yeah. They don't say any Miranda warning, nothing. So none of that would actually fly in court, but that's okay. So yeah, just to be able to bridge that gap and create something that everyday people can watch and understand and enjoy, but also that all my friends that I'm still pretty close with on the force can also watch and go, okay, they took their time with it. They understood how to do it properly, and they actually spent, the time on it to get it right, which a lot of people don't seem to. So I would say those are my biggest goals right now. And then obviously just, as growing as much as I can as an actor and writer along the way, and hopefully as a person with all that.
I know on Elementary, we had an old New York City cop that would come and consult.
Good.
And yeah,
I love that.
So that's another thought, you could like,
I would totally love to do that too.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like that helped us a lot. But then there was we had to kind of, I know they wouldn't wear their badge up here like this, but the audience needs to know who we are as opposed to, the right way to do it. So it was this kind of balance to, but it definitely helped, I think, at least me, when we had somebody there to say, no, they wouldn't do that way, So
yeah, that's great. I love that. It's always good to hear when there's a consultant on set, because I honestly, with productions and stuff now, I think it's just part of the budget that a lot of people kind of skip over and don't do as much. Obviously, if it's a show like SWAT or The Rookie or any of those Elementary, I think they kind of focus on that a little more. But like, it's just it's tough because I know I'm like the 1%. Most people wouldn't see it or notice or care. But when I'm watching a show and I'm so into the story, I'm so into the characters, the scene, and I see a cop walk in and his belt is completely wrong, it's all I can focus on the rest of the scene. But yeah, so I'd totally love to do that too. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
This is a little off of what we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to know what got you into doing stand-up comedy?
That's a great question too, man. I was like 16, almost 17 at the time. And growing up in Salt Lake City, Utah, there was a big comedy club called Wise Guys, which is still, I think, is still around, I believe. But I think I went to a show first, and I'd always loved, David Spade, Adam Sandler, people like that growing up. And I went to the show, and it was. Do you remember the show Cash Cab? It was on Discovery
Oh, yeah.
for a long time.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Ben Bailey was his name, but he was a comedian first, and so he did a stand-up show, and it was so opposite from his persona on Cash Cab. Obviously, it's very unedited, very raw. But I was like, wow, this is a completely different person. But it was hilarious. I had a great time, and so I was like, I think I want to maybe try writing this. It happened to be around that time my parents got divorced, and so I used that kind of as my therapy. Honestly, like I would start writing jokes. The first jokes I wrote were about my parents' divorce, and I would tell my friends, they'd laugh and be like, dude, this is really good. And eventually it just led to me signing up for an open mic one night. And I started doing those consistently throughout the rest of high school. So I think until I left for college, honestly, at almost 20, I was doing stand up every week. I got a couple paid gigs through it, but coffee shops, open mics at the comedy club, birthday parties, dinner parties, whatever it was. So I had a lot of fun with that.
That is very, very different. How that.
You've had a broad range, my friend.
Yeah, I've tried a little bit of everything, I guess. I don't know.
Are you taking any maybe acting classes, that kind of thing? Trying to hone your craft?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working kind of one-on-one with a casting director who's really great. When I first moved out here, I was going to Ivana Chubbuck. I don't know if you've heard of that studio at all, but it's in Hollywood. It's really great. I had a good friend of mine read her book, and so he recommended the book. I read the book before I moved out to LA, fell in love with it, really connected with her kind of philosophy on the craft. And when I came out here, the first thing I did was go audit her class, and ended up signing up shortly after, and was studying there for I think 2.5, 3 years. And then obviously COVID, everything happened, the writing strikes, and so it kind of slowed down. But I am still very connected to it. I still read the book at least once a year. It's tough because I really loved a lot of things about it, but there's some things I kind of took with a grain of salt, where it's like, all right, this worked here. I've worked with other coaches and other people where this has worked, and I think that's been a big part of the process for me, is just kind of learning to piece together different things that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend that to anybody getting into it, is definitely like take as many classes as you can, but don't necessarily take one as the gospel and one as totally different. I mean, there's good things and bad things about it all. You just kind of gotta figure it out. That's the nice thing. There's no textbook way to do it. You just got to kind of do what works for you. So.
And probably sometimes it's under the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
And so it can change. You think, oh, well, this always works for me. And you go into a new venue and it's like, oh, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? What do I do? And if you don't have anything else as a backup, that's a little scary, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, forgive the analogy, but it's like you're a police officer, right? You got your duty belt full of tools. One tool is not going to fix every problem, right? So you got to be able to know all your tools and be able to use them effectively. With acting, that's your voice, your inner work, your objectives. I mean, so many different things, but that's kind of the way I view it.
So you're spending a lot of time auditioning as well?
I am. Yep. A lot of verticals right now, which, hey, I'm grateful for. Like I said, they've been great experiences. I look forward to doing many more. But yeah, I recently signed with a new manager as well. So kind of been getting hit with the initial influx of all the auditions from him, which again, I'm really grateful for. I've had the opportunity to audition for some really cool things of late. Who knows what'll happen as within the last month? So you never really know. You just kind of send it out into the world and try to forget about it and move on. But yeah, hopefully some exciting stuff coming up with those.
I know you can't mention names, but there's
Mm.
anything that you have kind of read for that you go, "Ooh, I hope I get this. I hope I get this."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have a couple of opportunities that they didn't work out for one way or another, but they totally would have changed my life and would have been huge. One, the show's over now, so I think I can say it, but it was for You, the Netflix show.
Oh yeah.
I think it's season 2, season 3.
Uh-huh.
But the guy who ended up playing it, he's a great actor, Lucas Cage.
Oh,
He was phenomenal. He was in White Lotus and everything too. But he totally, I mean, the way he did that character was very different than the way I read for it. But yeah, I read for that role and obviously would have loved to go shoot it in London and, do all that. But there will be others out there. I'm a firm believer that, it was never meant to be mine. What was meant to be mine will ultimately come to me and find its way to me regardless. So,
right.
I couldn't get past season 1 of You.
I tried it too. My daughter watched all of them. So I worked with him. Is it Penn Badgley?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Penn, yeah. Yep. I worked with him on Gossip Girl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. My girlfriend's actually good friends with Kelly Rutherford.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't seen. I think she was the mom or someone.
Yes.
On that show, but
yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard Penn Badgley's a cool guy as well. I also have a buddy of mine that directed him in something. And said he was great. I mean, clearly
in his face for about 6 hours. So
yeah.
Which they'd keep changing his jacket. It was
oh yeah.
He was a good sport about it though. So
Yep. I mean verticals are like that too. I've done one where I was or two, I guess, where I've been like a billionaire, and I don't even know how many times they changed the suit, which is far more than I've ever done it my entire life.
Did you get to keep any of the suits?
Yes, because most of them are mine.
Oh, okay.
Well, I thought there's trying to think. There was one I did where it wasn't a suit, it was a hoodie I got to keep at the end, but unfortunately I've lost it since then, but I would wear that hoodie everywhere. I was like, man, this is awesome. And it was like I think my second one I did, and I was like, this is so cool.
And you don't know what happened to it?
Was it? I have no idea. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. It's probably in the back of, my girlfriend's car or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I believe one of your fans saw you in it and you put it down for a minute and they took it.
Very, very true.
That's what I'm
thinking. Could be. Maybe I'll find another one soon.
Yeah. Well, my last question is, have you been recognized on the street by either doing your verticals or your other things that you have done?
I have, yes. I don't think for a vertical yet. Although I do have people that I went to high school with that have reached out to me because of the ads and the marketing. They'll be like, I was on TikTok and I saw you and you were like a billionaire or like something. I was like, oh yeah,
I'm a billionaire now. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, right.
See what you missed out on? Yeah.
So that's happened a couple times which is really funny because there's people I haven't talked to in like 15 years, probably some of them. But but aside from that, I did a lot of, when I first moved out here, YouTube and TikTok videos. For influencers, I worked with a company where they would hire real cops to play fake cops, essentially. And there was a big trend going around for a while, like hide and seek games where, we'll hide and seek from a SWAT team or whatever it was. And it's just really fun. We got to just play hide and seek in these giant mansions in Beverly Hills and stuff. So it was really cool. But a couple of those videos went pretty viral. I think one got like 30, 40 million views on TikTok. So people would recognize me from that, oddly enough. But yeah, that's it so far. So I'm enjoying the anonymity while it's still there, I guess.
Yeah, you can go and do things like. Gina, do you have any final question or questions for Kyle tonight?
I think I covered pretty much everything.
Right.
Okay. Well, Kyle, is there anything we have not discussed that you want to bring up?
What would you guys like to see in the vertical world?
I've kind of said it. I would like to see more variety. I mean, when I first was looking, I would say 60 to 75% of all the titles of verticals had billionaire in them. And I just went, okay. And they were all billionaires that nobody knew what they looked like. and I just went, I don't think so. And I almost think like, it used to be millionaire back in the day. And I think just the way inflation, everything. So now they just changed it. They just changed it to billionaire now.
Yeah.
But Greg says he would like to see some sci-fi verticals out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome.
I would agree too, and I think he did this because I was on a podcast with Greg the other night, and we were talking sci-fi stuff. So I have a feeling that's why he threw it. But I do agree, and Gina's into sci-fi too. So
absolutely,
very cool.
Yeah,
I love sci-fi.
Do you have any favorites before we close down?
Oh man, I
have. You really like or?
Yeah, so it's kind of a dark horse, I guess, but obviously Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I grew up during the prequel era and stuff, but Stargate Atlantis, I really, really got into growing up. Randomly, one of my best friends in like middle school had the whole collection on DVD, so we would just watch it every time I'd go play over there. So that one was great. That was the first time I ever was introduced to Jason Momoa. He was great.
He was a nobody when he did
I know that was like OG Jason Momoa. But then I'd say one that hasn't been done yet that I would love to maybe do myself someday, given the opportunity, is Pendragon. It's a book series. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. I have not read them.
Weren't they? I thought they were doing some, or was that?
I think it's started and failed several times. I don't know.
Okay, maybe that's what I've been
like the rights or the issue. Yeah, but that's a book series I just absolutely ate up growing up, and I would love to see that made into, I think it'd be a great limited series now with the way kind of marketing is and stuff for that. But yeah, maybe someday.
Yeah, see, Greg said the same thing. He said, I thought they were making that. So did I.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I know for a while it was, I think, optioned, and then I think it just didn't get made or something like that. But yeah, I would love that. I'd totally be down.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look because I think someone brought it up in one of our podcasts.
I know Interview was like that. Interview with the Vampire was like that. It went through, I think John Travolta had it for a while, and then Brad ended up with it and took it and ran. And so I know that was in pre-development for ages till we finally got it.
How all that works.
And they had the series too, which
they had the series. So it's like, wow, sometimes it does take a long time.
I know. Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's what's crazy. Time flies and it doesn't, if that makes sense. Like this pilot I've been working on, it seems like I just started it, but I looked at my file the other day. I started writing it almost 3 years ago. So I'm just like, dang, can't believe it's been that long.
Time flies when you're wanting to do a project.
Yep, exactly.
So going on the Star Wars stuff, since Gina's big into this too.
Oh yeah.
Have you been looking at the new series that Disney has been putting out?
Yep.
Did you watch Andor?
You're gonna hate me. Andor is the only one I haven't seen, and I
keep
meaning to watch it. It's the best one out of all of them, I'm sure. I've been told that several times. I've listened to podcasts with Tony Gilroy. I've listened to every behind the scenes. I loved Rogue One, so I know I would just love it and binge it in probably a week. But they're all done now, right? All the seasons.
It's all done now.
The second season,
Now I gotta go binge it.
Yeah.
I gotta go binge it. And I love Ben Mendelsohn. He's great too. He's a phenomenal actor. So I definitely got to do that one. But yeah.
I watched first season and I hadn't had a chance to watch second season. My husband watched it and he was just like, I come out and he's sitting in the chair. He goes, that was so good. And then he watched Rogue One after that.
Yep,
so
that's exactly what someone was telling me. They're like, you got to watch it and then go watch Rogue One after.
I'll tell you, when I finished the series finale of it, and episode, I guess I think it was 8.
Yeah.
It was like I just had to go and look at Rogue One, but I had something else I had to do. I had to prep for a podcast.
Oh man!
And I was so mad because we did a review show of it for both seasons, and we all loved it. And it was just like I said, I've got to look at Rogue One. I've got to look at Rogue One and just, it's just like, oh, this is crazy.
Great. You gotta, if you get the chance, you gotta go on like a YouTube rabbit hole. There's several like short videos where they take the Rogue One Vader scene and put different scores over it to like totally change the tone.
Really?
It's hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah. Some of them
well, that shows what
good,
music will do. That shows
yeah.
what music will do. Yeah.
100%. But I did like Kenobi as well. I watched that one pretty recently, and I like that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excited for the new season of that one. See what they're gonna do with it.
Yeah, there's got other few things coming up, but that I'll say this: those strikes really messed up a lot of things.
Yep.
And I think we're still paying for it in big productions, but
yep, absolutely,
it'll catch up eventually. But
exactly.
But since I went off on a tangent, and I probably should let you go so you can get busy with doing all these other things that you've got to do tonight, probably.
Yeah, got to go start Andor.
There you go. There you go. But Kyle, I would like to thank you on behalf of Gina and myself that came and spent some time with us. And Kyle, if you'd ever like to come back, if you get your project going even, and you want to come and talk about it, we'd love to have you back. Or just if you want to chit chat about Andor after you've seen it. We're all for that too, believe it or not. We kind of do anything, that sounds fun.
Sounds great. That would be awesome. Yeah, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, Greg says thanks too.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Appreciate your question.
Yeah, so we've got one more vertical actor scheduled. One of the young actors. And I've got to pull it up so I get the time right, because everybody is at sometimes a different time because of Maxwell Maddox will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. He is an 11-year-old actor that has been doing, I think he's done at least 4 or 5 verticals, I believe.
Dang, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to go look him up now. That's great.
So he's going to be on Sunday, and I'm working on 6 more that we haven't. Vertical actors, some of them just work too much.
I know.
They don't have any free time sometimes.
Is it too much though?
No, not at this time.
I don't know
not
if too
at
much is a vocabulary word for actors.
Yes, well, for me trying to schedule people, then it is. But everything else.
They're literally all over the world now. Sometimes, like I'm in talks to do a couple in China coming up, and like Turkey, they're doing them now. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I mean, my first guest, I thought he was flying to LA to do them, and I found out he flew to China.
Yeah.
And he was actually filming in his native country of Australia.
Oh wow!
And I went, so they're filming in Australia too. I mean, I was shocked.
Yeah. Hey, everybody's got cell phones, right?
Yeah,
that's right. I'm surprised it took this long, actually.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It is amazing. But on behalf, we're getting up to 45, so I like to kind of cut it off by then. But
I'm
everyone,
take care. I keep getting darker and darker.
Yeah, you're just fading off into the sunset.
See my teeth. That's it.
Yeah, well, there you go. But everyone, take care, and we'll see you on our next one.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.